It's his Microsoft Surface Duo 2 review. Microsoft Surface Duo 2 is the company's flagship mobile device, and this time around it has faster hardware and better usability. The full review will tell how it plays out, but so far, it's looking good. Just over a year ago, the Surface Duo launched, and it was one of the most unique devices we've seen from Microsoft in a while. The Nota phone didn't get to its full potential due to a number of issues. Now Microsoft has a chance to take the Surface Duo concept to the masses. The Surface Duo 2's form factor calls for hardware capable of doing heavy multitasking. The device is way faster this time, avoids a lot of the slowdowns and freezes we experienced with the original device. There's more to it than just faster hardware. The design has been refined all around, making an already elegant device into a device you'll want to show off. Furthermore, the Surface Duo 2 has some major quality of life improvements that will make it a lot easier to use on a daily basis. Microsoft should have released this device ages ago. In select markets, the Surface Duo 2 is available to pre-order for $1,499, £1,499, around £2,000 Australian dollars. Only people in the US and UK can pre-order it right now, but if it's anything like the original device, that should expand quickly. Intro price only includes 128GB of storage extra. Storage costs extra. You can get 256GB of storage for $1,599, £1,599 or 512GB for $1,799, £1,799. Surface Duo 2 is an expensive phone, though. In the last year or so, especially as foldable phones became more common, prices this high don't seem as outlandish. Even with all Microsoft's improvements, the price begins to look pretty reasonable among foldables. Surface Duo 2 appears very similar to the original, but with a new color scheme. There's a new option, Obsidian, in addition to the Glacier color from the original Surface Duo. Because it's glass, it's glossy, and the Windows logo, which is chrome on the Glacier Surface Duo, is also black, but it's matte. This is such a better aesthetic, and honestly, that's the one we're looking at. It's good that the new colorway gets our attention, too, since just how much has changed about the Surface Duo 2. The phone is basically new, so it should look different, too. I think the biggest difference is the camera. Surface Duo 2 has a triple lens 16MP camera, whereas the original had a single lens. Because of this, the first Surface Duo had one of the worst cameras we've used since a Nokia flip phone, but it meant the device could close flat on top of the camera. The Surface Duo 2 comes with a pretty noticeable camera bump with this new triple camera setup. You've got a pretty big gap between the two phones when you close the screens back to back. As soon as we saw this, we thought that repeatedly closing the phone like this would break the camera or shatter the glass on the right-hand display. Microsoft says this won't happen, since the camera bump is reseated under a rubber and plastic border. So both the camera and the phone's glass chassis should stay scratch-free as long as you don't drop it. We didn't get to test the camera in our time with the Surface Laptop Studio. We spent way too much time with it than we should have, but it's pretty obvious it'll be better than the original. Also, Microsoft rounded off the edges of the screens, so when you close it, you can still see some of the display. It sounds silly, but it's extremely useful for notifications. On the side of the device, there's a strip of lighting that shows you have a new notification, like a phone call or text message. You can also tap the lock button and see your notifications on the curved edge if you miss them. Previously, we had to open the Surface Duo to see our notifications and check the time, which was a huge hassle over time. In addition to being bigger than before, the displays have smaller bezels. Surface Duo 2 screens are now 5.8 inches each, so you get a whopping 8.3 inches when it's open in book mode. When you look at the combined 8.3 inches of the displays, they have a resolution of 1344 by 1892, which is 2688 by 1892. There's no 4K, but it's still a great display. Microsoft's got a fingerprint reader again, but this time it's built right into the power button. No more weird little segments on the sides of devices that read your finger. From a usability perspective, it's a small touch, but it means you don't have to move your finger after pressing the lock button. In our time with the device, we weren't able to test that, but we're looking forward to testing it out when we get the Surface Duo 2. The original Surface Duo had a lot of problems, but the thing that held it back the most was the internal components. Microsoft had a really big vision for the device, having it be this multitasking champ, but then they crammed in a mid-range chip and only 6 GB of RAM. Learn from Microsoft's mistake. The internal chipset has been upgraded to the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, the company's current top chip, and the memory has been upgraded to 8 GB. There's still room to improve it though. Something like the 12 GB of the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G would be better for multitasking. While we can't run any benchmarks or spend much time playing games on this device yet, just experimenting with Android 11 and launching multiple apps over and over, the Surface Duo 2 is a lot more responsive than the original. It's like night and day. Microsoft wants Surface Duo to be a companion for professionals who need to work in Microsoft Office on the go, and the hardware on hand makes it easier to do that. The faster silicon couldn't have come at a better time with Xbox Cloud Gaming and the ability to turn one of the screens into a controller. We'll definitely put the Surface Duo 2 to the test once we get it. But everything points to a much improved device, so we can't wait to see what it can do. Microsoft's Surface Duo 2 looks a lot better than the original. The new version is faster, has a better camera, and has some design improvements. Those features come at a higher price, though, which will make it hard to sell for people who saw all the problems with the original. In general, it seems like the problems are fixed, but that's hard to tell just from 10 minutes with the device. Microsoft is much closer to fulfilling its promise with the Surface Duo 2 than it was with the original Surface Duo, so you should wait for full reviews before buying. I think that's pretty awesome.